Hi, and welcome back to our class in Sustainable Finance. My name is Gregor Weiss. I'm a professor of finance here at Leipzig University. And in this video, we want to continue our discussion of the trade-off between sustainability and shareholder value and put a special emphasis on the idea of internalizing externalities. So we are still in the second chapter of our class, where we discuss the trade-off between responsible and sustainable investing on the one side and shareholder value orientation in a firm on the other side. What are the learning objectives of this video and this chapter? Well, at the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the concepts of externalities and how internalization can help deal with those externalities, like, for example, carbon dioxide emissions. And we aim to understand how both government regulation and government taxation can help us internalize externalities when it comes especially to environmental factors like carbon dioxide emissions, pollution, etc. And students should understand the integrated value approach for measuring externalities and to explain the policy and technology uncertainty that makes dealing with externalities quite challenging. So what are some social environmental externalities and externalities in general? Now, social environmental factors identified in the previous videos and chapters, those are externalities which affect other parties that are not directly involved in the process of consumption of a good, and these parties are affected without the effects being reflected in market prices. So the best example is, again, carbon dioxide emissions, because in the market for example, gasoline, or if you take natural gas, you have two parties in this market transaction. For example, the gas or oil company selling a customer a gasoline, oil, diesel, etc. And the customer then consumes oil, natural gas, etc. So you have a transaction between the oil and gas company and the customer, who then uses the natural gas and the oil, but the market price between the two doesn't reflect the fact that the carbon dioxide emissions being produced by the act of consumption will not only affect the company and the customer, but carbon dioxide emissions via climate change will affect everyone on the planet. So there is a minuscule, a very minor effect on a third party, the world, and this effect is so small, it's so difficult to price in that respect, it is not reflected in market prices. So what happens is we get to a situation where we have overconsumption, because in the end the true market price is too low if you were to consider all those effects. As neoclassical models use market prices as relevant signals for decision making, we have a situation where we get to overconsumption. We are consuming too much natural gas, we are consuming too much oil, etc. And we get the same, for example, for social externalities as well. If you have an impact on, for example, different workers, if you have an impact on families, if you have a social effect, you can also get social externalities that are not incorporated in first pricing, that are not reflected in market prices, and most importantly, this will lead to overall underconsumption. So this is an externality, these are externalities, and they need to be dealt with, especially via market prices, if we want to reduce carbon dioxide emissions, if we want to get better social standards in investment, in firm management, etc. There are several mechanisms to internalize social and environmental externalities. Internalizing meaning that we include a small fraction in the market price that reflects this externality, so that consumers can pay attention to these effects they haven't thought about before. A major method in this respect is government intervention through regulation or taxation. And we'll talk about this a lot over the next couple of videos. For example, social legislation in the developed world is a successful example of internalizing social externalities. So every time you feel that in the workplace there is an external effect, an externality that is not reflected in market prices, in wages, etc., usually at some point unions stepped in, unions formed, unions stepped in and forced employers and companies to internalize these social effects. That's why we nowadays have kindergartens. That's why many companies have social security themselves, or we have social security systems at the government level. So social legislation is, especially in the developed world, actually a success story where we've at least dealt with the most dreadful problems of capitalism and on these externalities. However, when it comes to environmental externalities, very few countries have implemented, for example, effective carbon taxes to curb carbon emissions, and most countries actually have no or very low carbon taxes. Even worse, we do still have fossil fuel subsidies. They are still widespread, and of course they are completely counterproductive and hinder the adoption of renewable energy. So we have actually the opposite. We just don't have a carbon tax. We don't internalize the external effect of carbon dioxide emissions, but actually we have subsidies still in place, and we need to abolish these. Although the UN Sustainable Development Goals agenda has set a clear timeline to address the main social and environmental externalities by 2030, there are, of course, significant political and technological uncertainties about how these externalities will unfold over time. Not so much with social, but just take environmental externalities. We have technological uncertainties when it comes to the production of green energy. We have technological uncertainty when it gets to how to save on energy, when it comes to how to reduce the emissions when burning, for example, fossil fuels, the same amount of fossil fuels. So this obviously affects the way how these externalities can be internalized. One way of doing this and one way to tackle this is scenario analysis. It's a process of analyzing possible future events by considering alternative possible outcomes under uncertainty. And this, of course, means considering different technologicals, different political scenarios where we have more or less active politicians, etc. Why should we internalize externalities, and why do they matter? Well, it's a very simple idea that is written down in this equation, the IPAD equation, and it shows that the impact on natural resources, I, is just the product of the number of persons consuming a certain amount per person, and with technology having an impact per unit consumption. Now, if it were possible to consume, let's say, a gallon of gasoline, a liter of diesel oil, if it were possible to consume fossil fuels without emitting carbon dioxide emissions, then of course we would have a superb technology and we would have a very low impact on natural resources and low impact on our climate just because of technology. If we were to use the same technology with the same amount of persons, but were able to reduce our average per person consumption, again we would have a lower impact on natural resources, and the same of course if we had fewer persons using, for example, a certain natural resource. So we can see that there are several levers we can use to reduce or increase, if it's positive, the impact on certain natural resources. Now, natural resources are finite, and non-renewable or abiotic resources, they are finite. So it depends on the speed of depletion based on the available resources, N, and the annual demand, D, to get to the speed of depletion that tells us, okay, how do we need to address this Is it urgent? Do we need to reduce our consumption, etc.? Take, for example, copper. Let's assume that we have 70 years for copper. This depends on, of course, new discoveries, meaning that, well, actually at this point our resources are finite, but we might have new copper mines that can open. So actually, by discovering new fields of copper, it might be that we can increase our supply of this natural resource in the mid and long term. But of course, intensified use or the use of recycling can also increase or decrease annual demand. So this will affect the speed of depletion, of course. When it comes to the social and human capitals, remember the 8th Sustainable Development Goal. The goal was to have decent work and inclusive economic growth. So we need to preserve the social and the human capital in our production process. Now, the common language here is that we need to link these Sustainable Development Goals to different forms of capitals: social, human, natural resources. But not just negative, but also we do have positive externalities. For example, if companies invest in renewable energy, if they save on material, if they save on natural resources, we get a positive externality. And with social and human development growth and development goals, the companies can train employees. They might engage in sustainable food production. They can improve the healthcare for their workers. And we can see that we can actually have both positive and negative externalities, and both need to be internalized, both need to be addressed in the management of our companies. So what are some perspectives on externalities? Well, The Economist has a very simple perspective. We might have a public good meaning a good that is offered for the general public, like defense, security, public safety, public healthcare, etc., education. Those are public goods. We also have externalities and negative external effects like carbon dioxide emissions. And these public goods, externalities, they are not priced. So we have over or under consumption. A human rights advocate would probably say, okay, we need to ensure every person's claim to life essentials. And an ecologist would say, well, we need to operate within our ecological limits and save on natural resources. And just like the iPad equation, sustainable development just tries to incorporate these three views, making sure that we need to take an ecological view on natural resources, not to deplete our natural resources, keep human rights, social and human aspects in mind, again internalizing these when managing a company, but also making sure that we take the economist's view as well. We have public goods, we have externalities, they are not priced, and they need to be priced in order to prevent, for example, overconsumption and too high carbon dioxide emissions. So what can be done? We need to internalize externalities because they are not reflected in market prices. The government can, of course, do regulation or taxation. Regulation meaning that you just put a threshold, you just put a limit on consumption and say, okay, everyone can only use, let's say, 20 gallons of gasoline per month. A very drastic step, but this is a simple example where you could just enact a law, enact regulation to make sure that consumption is curbed. Or you can tax consumption. You can increase taxation. You can enact a carbon tax, for example, meaning that not just the purchase of gasoline is priced and taxed, but also you have a tax on the carbon emissions you would emit via consumption. The civil society, in the form of NGOs, they can raise awareness. And of course, this is an indirect way of internalizing, because now you have a public effect. You have publicity, and NGOs can force companies to internalize certain externalities. Financial companies can incorporate ESG factors in their investment and lending decisions. We'll talk about this a lot later on. But of course, this is also a way of internalizing the external effects you have by doing investments. Corporates can try to incorporate the costs of externalities in their production as well. So you don't need the government to step in order to get the same effect. The problem, of course, is that corporates, if they incorporate those costs for other people or other companies, they would artificially increase the prices of their products and thus diminish their chances on the marketplace. So probably the government needs to increase a tax rather than corporates themselves increasing prices by incorporating costs of externalities in their production process. And last but not least, consumers can, of course, do their own by buying sustainable products and services. They are also internalizing the external effects they feel they would create by consuming these products and services. So we have certain impacts from business to society, but also dependencies between society and business on the other side. And it depends on the internalization rate when looking at a certain externality to see how we are able as a society to deal with the problems associated with externalities and external effects. Okay. Now then, of course, who should act? In the end, everyone. The state will offer public goods and values. The state will offer, for example, defense, public safety, public security, police, fire department, etc. And they will enact regulation and taxation. When we look at private households and companies, non-profit, we have civil society that will look out for social goods and values, and we have, of course, private companies for profit who offer goods and services. They have private goods, they are shareholder oriented, and all three need to come together, work together in order to deal with the negative side effects of consumption when we have externalities. Okay. Enough about internalization and externalities until this point. In the next video, we'll talk about two very basic but most important concepts and methods to internalize externalities, and that is taxation and setting quotas. So thanks for watching and listening, and see you in the next video.